we have gathered here is for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should correct our intention, not look at each other, that we came here solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to learn those things which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also learn those things which displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah today's bayan is going to be in English, and I would like to request Suffian to come. And inshallah after the bayan there will be majlis of Dhikr and Naseeha. Also the main purpose these gatherings takes place is that there is a course of self-purification which is taught in this center. That is how to purify our soul, heart, mind. One cannot mention that in the bayan. One should really come in the majlis and see one of the Ustadh personally to get the advice to learn how to purify oneself. So this is solely one-to-one basis really. So if anybody listening on the internet or anywhere else, please try to communicate with us. Inshallah we'll provide the details. Jazakallah khairan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. Our beloved messenger, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he once said, "Whoever brings my sunnah back to life, it's as if he's brought me back to life." And those words, like all of his words, will echo through eternity, especially for the people who were not able to physically be with him in this dunya. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahmatullah alayhi, he once had a dream. In the dream he saw the bones of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam were in front of him, and he assembled the bones in the correct formation. He didn't know what that meant, so he went to someone who was a qualified dream interpreter, and he was told that he would be one who would clarify the teachings. Now, all of us here have just prayed Isha namaz, and perhaps you read the Sunnah before and after the Farad, which is great, of course. There are blessings which I'm not going to go into. And all the brothers here, perhaps people watching online, there are other Sunnah that you are following. For males, you've got to have a beard or you wear the robe. For the sisters, there are other Sunnah you can be following, of course. But there are some sunnah that anybody can do. Now we have a child who just walked in now, for example. Now he cannot physically grow a beard right now. We know this. This is human biology. And there are certain sunnah, the outer sunnah, people can follow, regardless of their physical location, their age, their gender, etc. and these things. But there are some sunnah that anybody can do, regardless where they are in the world, and other physical attributes they may have or may not have. So really you can classify the sunnah as outer and inner sunnah. The outer ones being what you see right now, maybe the turban, the robe, the beard. But let's say, for example, the beard. Now, anyone who wishes to grow one, that's fine, there's a blessing, there's a reward. But anyone who has a beard can be honest, it's a pretty effortless sunnah to follow. You know, you just don't shave and you grow a beard. You don't even have to be a Muslim to share this sunnah or having a beard. There are plenty of non-Muslims out there having beards. That's fine. And there is a link between the outer and the inner sunnah. And I'll give you an example. before I give you the answers to what are the universal sunnah we can all be following. You see, once Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, radiallahu anhu, he was a bit concerned because, you know, the trouser we wear, called in Arabic the izar, this is like a trouser we wear. The modern day term would be the trouser perhaps. And the Arabs, they used to wear long izars, they would touch the floor. So whenever they walk, their cloth would rub on the floor. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prescribed that when you wear the izar, you wear it short, like the brothers have here today. You wear it short because it's a sign of piety. Because you're not really concerned with janaba, any impurity landing on it. So it stays cleaner for longer, it lasts longer, because it's not going to be thread worn. But if you have it long, it's going to be rubbing on the floor, it will wear out quickly. But for arrogant people, the Arabs at the time, they wore it out of arrogance. Because it shows that if it wears out, you can go ahead and buy a new one. It's a sign of wealth. Now, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, his concern was, you know, you get these people when they wear trousers or jeans and they keep falling down and they're constantly just pulling them back up. If they have a belt or not, they keep pulling it up. Well, he had this problem and they kept falling down. Now, he then discovered that the people that wore long izar or long trousers out of arrogance, they're in the hellfire. So he became concerned. He went to his beloved Messenger ﷺ, and he addressed him about this. And the Messenger ﷺ reassured him. He said, "Don't worry, you are not of those people. You're not wearing long trousers out of arrogance." So you can see there's an outer and inner connection here between the outer appearance of a person and the inner characteristic of arrogance in this case. So to answer the question, what are the universal sunnah? Universal mean anywhere, anytime. The universal sunnah that we can all be following are the characteristics of the Messenger ﷺ. And anyone watching online, if you're a female or a male, child, adult, it doesn't matter, we can all be adopting these characteristics and applying them as much as possible. You see, Iman is a very strange thing, and Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi, he said it's such a thing that it can come to a person in many different ways. Iman can come to a person through a dream. Iman can also come to a person by being in a particular state. Iman can even come to a person by meeting a righteous and pious person. Now we know, luckily we have the teacher of this establishment, of course they're abroad at the moment, there's one example. Now I don't know how many people, upon meeting such a righteous and pious person, have spiritually been elevated. How many people, like myself, who have been in the company of the righteous and pious, such as Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh, and they have gone so much closer to their Lord, so much closer to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even non-Muslims have done the shahada in the presence of the righteous and pious. And I'll give you another example. Yeah, we have Hazrat Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh, true. Has anyone here heard of the famous writer Martin Lings? Yeah, he wrote the book called The Life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyway, Martin Lings, he eventually became Muslim and he was later on to be known as Dr. Abu Bakr Sirajuddin. He's passed away now. And I remember hearing about there was an atheist once, and he went to meet this author. And this atheist, upon meeting him, Iman entered his heart. Later on, when they asked the former atheist, now to a Muslim, what was it that made you want to change your view of life and accept Islam? He said, until then, he had never been in the company of a righteous and pious person, and he had never seen piety embodied in a human. That's all it took for this atheist to become a Muslim. Just being in the presence of a righteous and pious person. And I can believe that, and I'm sure the brothers here and people watching online, you can believe this. When you're in the company of the likes of Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh, you're not the same. You're in a spiritually, physically much better place. Your iman shoots up. And this is normal, this can happen. I mean, we know several examples, and I'll give you one of at the times of the Sahaba, there was a Bedouin. Now, for those who don't know what a Bedouin is, it's a person who dwells in the desert. So they're not like people who live in the city. Anyway, this Bedouin, just upon hearing about the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to see him. Just by seeing him, Iman entered his heart. Because he said, this is not the face of a liar. And the Arabs still have this, it's a science or an art, I don't know which one you want to call it. This is a science called firasa, and they have this. They can see certain attributes of a person just by looking at their face. That's just one example amongst many. So you see, there's something about the Messenger ﷺ and his message that people are attracted to, they are naturally drawn to. This is natural. And we also know, looking at the hadith, that he didn't actually speak a great deal. He was a lot of the time very quiet. But there was something about him, there was something about his character that people were attracted to, they were drawn to constantly. Even his enemies at once became his very close friends and companions. It's the character, it's the magnanimity of the character, the prophetic character, that people are attracted to. And you see these characteristics perhaps even in the non-Muslims. We're here living in England. When we see someone who's honest, whether you work with them or they know them or they're your neighbour, you admire honesty in a person. You admire people that are trustworthy, especially when it comes to things like money. You admire people that don't gossip and backbite about you. These are respectable attributes, and we have to give credit where it's due. Regardless of religion or gender, if you see someone doing something good, you give credit to them. And even the Prophet ﷺ used to do this. When he was the Jews doing something worth crediting, he gave credit to them. When he saw the fire worshipper doing something good, he gave credit to those as well. So this is not about being biased and taking sides of the Muslims. No, whenever you see goodness, you should give credit to it. You have to acknowledge this, and we do. But you see, the Quranic verse I used at the start of this bayan, I'm going to just read out one translation in English. So Allah Azza wa Jalla says in His holy book, so by the mercy of Allah, in reference to the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you were born lenient with them. And if you had been rude in speech and harsh in heart, they would have disabandoned you. They would have left you. So here you can see the character is being addressed. The prophetic character is a very gentle character. And we're going to see this slowly through the examples I'm about to narrate to you. So the universal sunnah we can all apply are the prophetic characteristics. And for people like myself and yourself, it's all about just emulating these characteristics. That's all we can do. And I'll give you one example. Hazrat Ibn Umar, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, once they were in a place, and we don't know where this place was, but there was a horse in front of him. Nothing else, just a horse. And he went up to the horse and just moved it. Now, on the surface of things, you're probably thinking there must have been a reason. Well, there was a reason. But at the time, just by looking at this, people couldn't work out why is he just, for no reason, or no apparent reason, gone up and moved a horse. Somebody asked him, why did you go ahead and do this? He said, the only reason I moved the horse because I once saw a similar horse in the same place and the Messenger ﷺ moved the horse. That was it. Now that's muhabbah. That's love. Doing things because the Prophet ﷺ did something, we just do it. We don't argue, we don't question. You hear an debate, you do something. The other person said, yeah, but that was because there was a rock there. Ibn Umar said, I don't care. Just because my beloved Messenger ﷺ did this, I want to do this. That's love, that's character. You know, once, there's a famous saying in our belief, in our deen, that the believer is a mirror of another believer. Meaning, the Muslims, as a collective unit, we should be able to take criticisms of one another. We should be able to constructively tell one another what's wrong with us, what we need to work on. And the reason I say this now, because the examples I'm about to give to you, I want each and every one of us, including myself, especially myself, to go away and at least apply one of the characteristics. Okay, mashallah, you guys here, you're very righteous and pious anyway, but this is more of a reminder for myself. And the reason I say this is because even the likes of William Shakespeare in Hamlet, even he said, isn't it amazing, or isn't it funny, how God has made the face such that you can only see your face in the mirror. You can't actually see your own face. I can never see my own face. You need a mirror to see what's wrong with your face. You know, sometimes when you're eating and you get a bit of food stuck in your beard, your friends, if they're with you, they do this. clean your beard, you've got some food there. You can't see the food in your beard. You can't see the blemishes on your face. You need a mirror to tell you what's wrong with you. In the same way I need the brothers here, you need to tell me what's wrong with me, because I can't see my own faults. Now, I'll give you an example. I've had the opportunity, and I say it's an opportunity, to meet some really arrogant people. For me it was an opportunity because it highlighted the arrogance in myself. Now, the strange phenomenon with arrogance is arrogant people don't know they're arrogant. They really don't. They just think they're better than you. This is a fact. If you know any arrogant people, you can ask them, do you think you're arrogant? Ask them in a nice way. They won't know they're arrogant, generally. This is the state of arrogance. This is the nature of it. And the really funny thing is, you put two arrogant people together, and the strange thing is, they will only see the arrogance in the other person. This is a very strange phenomenon with arrogance, but that's just one example. So, the examples I'm about to give to you, please try to take at least one characteristic away and apply that one characteristic. Okay? Imam Shafi'i was asked by someone that, how did you perfect your character? And this is Imam Shafi'i, one of the leaders of the four main schools of Islamic jurisprudence. Imam Shafi'i was asked, how did you perfect your character? To which he replied, I took all my critics seriously. Imam Shafi'i said he took all his critics seriously, and then he worked upon his criticisms until they were removed. That's how he perfected his character. And that's Imam Shafi'i. Where's Imam Shafi'i and where are we? We're nothing. But that was how he was thinking. That's the approach he had to criticisms. So what should we be doing for ourselves? We shouldn't be offended. We shouldn't disregard them. No. Ask yourself, be real. Go away and reflect. And especially if it's somebody then they're not going to just tell you just to put you down or make you feel rubbish. No, be serious. Because other people can see your faults, especially when you can't see your own. Imam Malik was once asked as well a similar type of question, and he replied that he took every person he met as a teacher. Anyone he came across, he thought them as a teacher, meaning he went on to elaborate. He said, if I saw someone better than me, I would see what they are doing and I would apply that to myself. If I saw someone worse than me, I would notice what to avoid. So anyone he came across, he learned from them. If there was someone better than him, he would apply what they are doing and he applied it to himself. If he saw someone worse than him, he would see what things to avoid and he would avoid them and he would improve himself. This was Imam Malik. Again, one of the leaders of the four primary schools of Islamic jurisprudence. Now, I'm going to give you the roots, not cause, but one of the root reasons why the universal sunnah are vital in life and death. The Prophet Muhammad in the closest narration in a hadith, he said that we all have to understand that the only thing that's going to help ourselves on the last day, on the Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the Day of Judgment, the only thing that's going to help us is a purified heart. The only thing that's going to help you, yourselves, me, myself, I'm not talking about the intercession, no, prior to that, all of these things, the only thing that's going to benefit all of us is a pure heart, is a sound heart. Now, I've just mentioned a purified heart, and I'm talking about characteristics. Well, you have to ask yourself, what's the link between the two? What do you think the character of the person comes from? Where does it come from? It stems from a heart. If a person has a sound heart, they have sound characteristics. If they have a diseased heart, then they have foul characteristics. So all the characteristics, or the prophetic characteristics, they all link to having a sound heart or developing a sound heart. I mean, this is one of the reasons why, if you read the Seerah, if you read the Bible from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know at a young age, angels of light came down and they performed what is now called open heart surgery. They split open his chest, they took out the heart, and they performed the surgery. Now, these were angels of light. These were, you can probably call them divine surgeons, let's say. They performed the surgery with light. You look at heart surgery now, in any hospital in the West, even in the world, What do they use to open hearts, for open heart surgery? They use lasers. What's a laser? It's sterile, it's uncontaminated light. You can't contaminate light. And yet 1400 years ago, they were doing the same operation. Because what happened then was they took the heart out, the angels, they put it in a bowl of ice. What do they do now? They take the heart out, put it in a bowl of ice. What do they do in the bowl of ice to keep the metabolism rate down? They poured it with Zamzam. What do they use now? They use cryonic fluid, which is has high levels of potassium. Zamzam water has high levels of potassium and sodium. Do you see the relationship? We had open heart surgery 1400 years ago. They've got it now, which is fine. So you see, the reason why the heart was taken out to our brother messenger, because another hadith talks a bit about there's a lump of flesh in the body. If that flesh is sound, the body is sound. If that lump of flesh is foul, the body is foul. That lump of flesh was the heart. That's why it was taken out at that time. And that's why he was masum, he was innocent. His heart was pure, it was sound. So all these characteristics I'm about to give you now, it's all about developing the spiritual state of the heart. I'll give you one example, first of all. Now, obviously we have children here, so I don't expect you to reply to this one. Does anybody here drive on a daily basis? Does anybody here? I mean, I commute to work, so a couple of us, we drive on a daily basis. Now, believe it or not, but even driving a car can help you develop the prophetic character. There's a maqam for driving, okay? Whether you're a taxi driver or you commute like me, it doesn't matter. If you drive anyway, any car, but especially those that drive regularly, there's a maqam for driving. And the maqam for driving is what the Arabs call ithar. Ithar in English is translated as giving preference to others. In this case, giving preference to other people on the road. If somebody wants to come into your lane, you give preference to them. Let's not be selfish. If somebody cuts you off, don't curse them, don't honk the horn, don't swear, don't flash lights. No, just let it be. So even for something like as simple as driving, we can apply ithar, give a preference to others on the road. I mean, driving is already, it can be a stressful experience if you're driving on the motorway like I do. You're driving at high speeds, it's dangerous, especially with the weather as it is now. It gets dark early, it can be raining, last week it was snowy. It's already a dangerous situation to be in sometimes. You know, you have pedestrians to consider, you have road users, you have yourself, you have maybe passengers in the car. There's already so much going on. But when I discovered this, maqam of driving, the station of driving is given preference to others, I realised things became that much easier. It was so much less stressful. And you see people get worked up, you know, what they now call road rage. That all went. Somebody cut me off. And the best part is, if they cut you off from the right, tell yourself you're going to give preference to the person on the right. We know this, yeah? So alhamdulillah, you're following the sunnah just by driving. So anyone who drives, or you know, maybe the children in the future, when you learn how to drive a car, learn to give preference to others. It makes it that much less stressful. And this, at the same time, it doesn't negate what Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions in the Holy Quran, alaykum anfusikum. It doesn't negate looking after yourself. No. I'm not saying look after other people all the time and neglect yourself. No, because alaykum anfusikum means to look after yourself, look after your soul. It doesn't neglect that. But looking after your own soul involves looking after other souls. That's what it means. Look at all the awliya, look at the likes of Shaykh Ahmad Abbar. Looking after, for him to look after his own soul involves looking after our souls, other people's souls. That's what this is. So at the same time, you look after yourself, but that involves looking after other people around you, whether they're your family, your friends, the other people on the road, when you're driving. That's what we're trying to get across. So that's one example of how you do this. Now, I'll give you another example of how to give advice to people. If you are an elder in your family, that we have some respected elders here, if you have brothers or sisters or siblings, children, anyone who comes to you for advice, there's a certain prophetic method of giving advice to people. And once in Ramadan, one of the Sahaba came to the Messenger ﷺ, and he was very concerned because he had told the Prophet ﷺ that he had just slept with his wife in the daytime hours in Ramadan. So naturally he became concerned. The Prophet ﷺ, he didn't scold him, he didn't curse him, he didn't belittle him. He said, okay, just go expiate your sins and fast for 2 months. And this is the legal ruling. If you break your fast, you have to expiate them. We don't condemn people to the hellfire. We don't just call them kuffar or munafiq. No, none of this. He just said, okay, go fast for 2 months. To which the person replied, Ya Rasul, fast for 2 months. I'm struggling in Ramadan to fast for 30 days. So again, the Prophet ﷺ made it easy for him. He said, okay, go and feed some people. He said, did they have to be poor people? He said, yes, they have to be poor people. He said, Ya Rasul, there's no one poorer than me and my family. So already he's given him not one, but 2 ways out. He said, okay. He said, did someone bring some dates over? He gave him dates. He said, hey, go feed your family. Look at the beauty of advice. Look at the beauty of helping people. He didn't condemn him to the hellfire because he broke one fast. He gave him not 1, not 2, but 3 ways out. That's all he did for people, was make life easy for them. He made this thing easy for all of us to follow. I'll give you another example. Once they were in the Jamaat and they were praying. One person sneezed. Now we know when a person sneezes, obviously you say Alhamdulillah, the other person says Yarhakumullah. Anyway, that's natural, and it happens sometimes. But once we're watching TV, me and my wife, and the person on the TV sneezed, my wife said Yarhakumullah. Anyway, so this person, they were in the Jamaat, and obviously in the namaz we don't speak, someone sneezed and someone else said Yarhakumullah. Anyway, when the prayer was over, everyone looked at this person. They started staring at him, and some of them started to bang their swords. They had their sword with them, started to make a noise out of expression of anger. What did the Messenger ﷺ do? He didn't publicly embarrass him. He didn't tell him off. He took him to the side. He spoke to him in a beautiful way. He said, brother, this is the prayer. We don't talk in the prayer. It's not Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, these things. He said, this is the prayer. He advised him in such a beautiful way. I'll give you another example, a third one. There was a fornicator once, sorry, not a fornicator, he was an adulterer, I think. And he used to love sleeping with women without responsibility. So he went into the tent where the Messenger ﷺ was, and he said, I want to join Islam, I want to be a Muslim, but I love women. I love sleeping with women without any responsibility. So what did the Messenger ﷺ reply with? He said, okay, do you have a sister? He said, yes. He goes, would you like it if someone slept with your sister without responsibility? He goes, Hasha, of course not. He says, do you have an auntie? He goes, yes. He goes, would you like someone to sleep with your auntie without any responsibility? He said, Hasha, of course not. He said, do you have a mother? He said, yes. He goes, would you like someone to sleep with your mother without responsibility? He said, no. This person left the tent and he said, I went into the tent loving adultery more than anything in the world. I left the tent hating adultery more than anything in the world. Look at the beauty, look at the advice and how to give advice, how to bring people to Islam. We all have faults, we all have vices, we all have sins on our shoulders. We all have something in dunya that we like, that we want to give up. Even the people out there, maybe they're not Muslim today. And we shouldn't shun them. We shouldn't say, you smoke, you drink, so you can't come into Islam. No, make it easy for them. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ, he wasn't what they call staunch. He wasn't very strict. You go to some masjids, especially if it's the first time there, maybe not anyone greets you. Maybe no one greets you at all. And I've been to some mosques in Manchester, and I won't name the mosque because it's not fair. You go into the mosque for the first time and people give you dirty looks, right? We've all been there. Anyway, maybe if you're lucky, if you go to different mosques, maybe they'll come and meet you. I've been to some mosques, the brothers have met me, but they come to you like this, Assalamu alaikum, brother. No smile, no nothing, just Assalamu alaikum. Very serious, to get a salam with a smile these days is hard to find. Luckily here, you come here, people hug you, which I love, which is fantastic. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he was always smiling. In general, he had a very humorous attitude. He was very positive. He was smiling. When he would walk down the street, he was smiling. People would see him with smiles on his face. And he used to even, tell a few jokes. He was actually quite known for his jokes. And I'm going to share a couple now. Once, an old woman came to him and she asked him, "O Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, will I enter heaven? Will I go to Jannah?" And he just replied, he said, "All women don't enter Jannah." She became concerned. She's like, "What? What's going on?" So he said, "All women don't enter Jannah." And then he saw her expression. He said, "You're going to go young and youthful to Jannah. Look at this." But he said, whenever he said a joke, he didn't lie in his jokes. You get some people who are stand-up comedians, and they're not completely telling the truth. Some of it's made up. You can understand it's their business. The joke is what they used to call the court jester. But the prophetic way of joking was not to lie in a joke. I'll give you another example. There was a person, he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked him, he said, "Can I borrow a camel, to ride?" So the Prophet ﷺ said, "I'll give you a baby of a she-camel." Now this guy's thinking, and he said, "What good is a baby of a she-camel? I want to ride this camel." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Isn't every camel the baby of a she-camel?" It's true, isn't it? They're all babies of she-camels at some point. But again, look at the honesty, but look at the humour. He was a humorous person. He liked making people smile. This is a prophetic character. He was also very just. He was very fair and balanced with people. When he would go to the prophetic household with his family, he would give a third of his time to his family. He would give a third of his time to his Lord. He would give a third of his time to himself. Look at that perfect balance. A third, a third, a third. Now, the young boys here, you do maths in school, yeah? What does a third add a third add a third? One. Whole number. He was whole. Even numerically, the brothers here are proven at use of maths. He was whole, he was complete. At the same time of being complete and so perfect, he was incredibly humble. He was teaching myself and yourself to be humble. Once Hazrat Umar, he was going on pilgrimage, and the Prophet ﷺ, he asked him, "When you go to the pilgrimage, please remember me in your prayers." He was asking his companion, the Prophet ﷺ was asking his companion to remember him in his prayers. Where's the Prophet ﷺ and where are his companions? It's something to think about. He was always concerned about other people's rights. He would always fulfill everyone's rights. Regardless of who they were, regardless if they had been Muslim from day one or they had just converted to Islam, he would always ask about other people. Once in the prophetic mosque in Medina Sharif, there was a cleaner. And this cleaner, she was actually a black woman. She was an African descent. She was a cleaner. Now, she actually passed away. And in the books of Islamic history, we don't even know her name, this cleaner. Says everything about this person. They don't even record her name. She passed away and the Sahaba read the funeral prayer over her. After which the Prophet ﷺ discovered she had passed away and he became upset. He said to the Sahaba, he said, "She passed away, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me she passed away so I could pray over her? Was she insignificant because she's a cleaner? Was she insignificant because she was black? I mean, you look at ethnic minorities today, we're all here of an ethnic minority. You look at black people, especially in America, how badly they are treated. He there and then just raised the station of black people. He raised the station of ethnic minorities because there the majority were Arabs. The minority were, let's say for example, in this case, someone of an African descent or someone from a foreign country like Salman al-Farsi who was Iranian. He is raised in the states of ethnic minorities. On top of that, this was a cleaner. You go to buildings these days that have janitors or cleaners, no one even talks to them. Where I work, we have cleaners. Nobody talks to them. Nobody knows their name. Why? Because they clean the floor? Is this a lonely thing? This was how he felt towards everyone he interacted with. Even the children. Let's talk a bit about the children at that time. How were they treated? And unfortunately now children are neglected. You know, this is a very sad state of affairs, but this is the reality. You know, people, they look after themselves, but they don't care about the children. They neglect them. They don't feed them right. They don't clothe them right. And I work in a high school, so I see this, unfortunately. I see children coming in, unhygienic. They haven't been dressed. They haven't even looked after their physical hygiene properly. And it's sad, but the parents don't care. The parents don't care, some of them. They go out drinking. Children left at home. What do you think is going to happen to their children? Let's look at some of the children around the Prophet ﷺ and how they were treated, how they were elevated. Anas ibn Malik, radiallahu anhu, his mother gave him to the Prophet ﷺ to serve him. And for over 10 years he served the Prophet ﷺ in the prophetic household. Over those 10 years, he said, not once did the Messenger ﷺ ask me, if he asked me to do something and I didn't do it, he didn't say to me, why didn't you do this thing? At the same time, not once did he ask me, why did you do such a thing when he didn't ask him to? Not once in 10 years, in an entire decade, not once was the Prophet ﷺ upset with him for not doing something he asked him to do. Once, I'll give you an example, he asked Anas ibn Malik, Anas, did you do that thing I asked you to do? To which he replied, no. And children do this, you know, they want to challenge authority. This is part of being a child. He said no. What did the Prophet ﷺ do in reply? He smiled. He smiled and he left the room. And this is wisdom, this is hikmah. He smiled and he physically left the room. He then came back afterwards and he said, Anas, did you do that thing I asked you to do? He said, I'll go on it straight away. Look at this tarbiyah. Look at how he's raising the child in his house. Look at this. He didn't hit the child. He didn't curse him or tell him off. He smiled, left, came back, gave him some time to think about it perhaps. And he asked him, did you do that thing? And the child said, I'll do it straight away. You know, there were two brothers, Abdullah ibn Zubair and Ibn Umar. There were two brothers, and I'll talk about the first one, Abdullah ibn Zubair. He was a young child, and there was a group of them. They're walking down what we now maybe call an alleyway. It's quite a narrow alleyway. Anyway, they're walking down this alleyway, and oncoming was Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu. And all the children except him got scared. They saw him coming towards them, and they got scared. They ran away. All except Abdullah ibn Zubair. So the two kept walking towards closer and closer, and then Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, he asked him. He said, all your friends ran away from me. Why didn't you run away? Now listen to this, kids. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu asked this child, all your friends ran away. They were scared of him. Why didn't you run away? So he said, well, I've done nothing wrong that I should be scared of you. And the road's wide enough for both of us. He's being honest. Why should he be scared of him? He's done nothing wrong. And we can both get by easily, so it's not really an issue. Anyway, he had a younger brother called Ibn Umar. And Ibn Umar, he had a bird. As a pet in a cage. He had a bird. And one day the bird died. Okay? So now the Prophet ﷺ went to the household of this child. Not for this reason, by the way. He just went there for a different reason. And he saw this child was upset. He was crying. He was obviously distraught. His baby bird had just died. Understandable. So he walks in and he discovered this, and he asked someone in the house, why is he crying? What's wrong? And he was told his bird died. So, you know, he went up to the child, he comforted him, and he spent time with his child just because his pet died. The first thing he asked the child was, what did the bird do to you? Straight away, he's asking a very deep question. If you think about it, he's asking the child, he knows what happened, he's asking the child, what did the bird do to you? He said that my bird died. He's straight away reminding the child of death, the nature of life and death. All things will die. Imam Skandari, he said, from this single hadith, from this single story of this bird dying, he derived over, I think it was 100 legal rulings, just from this one incident, such as be concerned with the state of children in the household, also keeping pets in cages, also ziyarah. 100 rulings from one single incident were derived. There was another Imam who's, the name's not coming to me right now, he said over 300 rulings came from this one incident. You know, people walk into the house or they go somewhere and they don't even think about or they don't care about the states of other people around them. They go in, they get what they want and they leave. And I'm guilty of this, I'll be honest, you know. But this single incident teaches us that we should be concerned about those around us. We should have a heart. You know, you see someone upset, go ask him what's wrong. Maybe you can help him, maybe you can't. The fact that you're asking him says a lot. Once the Prophet ﷺ, he had his beloved and blessed grandchild on the daughter, Hazrat Hussein, on his shoulders. You know, sometimes you have a child and sit on your shoulders and you play with them. I don't know what they call it. It's not piggyback. Piggyback's on the back. He had him on his shoulders and they were, you know, playing around. And somebody came up to them and he said to Hussein, Hazrat Hussein, that what an excellent riding vehicle you have. In reference to the Messenger ﷺ. So he said to the child, what an excellent riding vehicle you have. To which the Prophet ﷺ replied, he goes, what an excellent rider I've got. Already look, he's honouring the child, he's giving tashrif to the child. He's not concerned about himself, it's all about other people. And that's all he did. You read his life, he made life easy for everyone. That's all he did. He was helping me, you, people he would never see in this dunya, people he's going to see after we're gone from this world. That's all he cared about. He didn't find fun in people, he didn't find mistakes and faults, he didn't criticise people publicly, he didn't embarrass them. Even in food, if the food wasn't right, he didn't criticise food. You know, I'm sure people in here, I know I'm this way. When I go out to eat food to a new place, this is somewhere like a takeaway or a restaurant, I'm quite critical of the food, especially the service I get. You know, you get people go on websites and write reviews. I'm not that bad, but he didn't complain about food. You know, food, Islamically, all food is to us is a source of fuel. That's all food really is, Islamically. It's a source of fuel. Yes, you should make it taste nice, put some, you know, herbs and spices, what have you not. But food really is just a source of fuel. A fuel to go work, a fuel to go pray, a fuel to do all these different things. And, you know, he didn't criticise anything. In fact, what he did do once, conversely speaking, he actually said to the Sahaba, he said, see that man over there? He said, there's a man of paradise. And so they look over this person and they said, we need to find out, why is he a man of paradise? What's he doing that we were told about? Meaning, what's he doing that we're not doing? So they went to this person, they spent time with him, and they discovered, you know, really this person, he's not really praying anymore, he's not fasting anymore, he's not doing anything that what's expected to do. Okay, so he's not spending extra time in extra devotion. So they said to him, listen, we can't quite figure out what are you doing that we're not doing that makes you a man of paradise. He said, well, to be honest, all I do is every night when I go to sleep, I just forgive any Muslim that's wronged me. Any Muslim he met that had did wrong to him, he forgave him. He was applying the characteristic of rahmah, of mercy, to his fellow Muslims. So he said, you know, when I sleep, I don't have any resentment in my heart. I have no rancor in my heart, no hatred for the Muslims. That one characteristic alone made him a man of paradise. He didn't pray any extra, he didn't fast any extra, but this one thing made him different to the other Sahabi at the time. I'll give you another one before we finish because I know it's getting a bit late. Has anyone here heard of Abu Damdam? It's a very unique name, Abu Damdam. It sounds a bit funny almost, but Abu Damdam is very unique, and what he used to do was something even beyond the previous example. Abu Damdam, what he would do is, let's say for example, if brother here, let's say you backbite about me. I'm not saying you do, of course, but this is the way it works. If he backbites about me, I get all of his good deeds. Yeah, this is how it works in Islam. This is what we believe. So if he backbites about me, I get all his good deeds. Regardless of if he did Hajj or Umrah, all the good deeds come to me. Abu Damdam would do this. If somebody would backbite about him, he knew he got the good deeds, he would give the good deeds back as sadaqah. That's Abu Damdam. That's the level he was on. That was his way of thinking. So people would, say bad things about him. He said, okay, have it back, Sadaqah. Don't worry. Have it back. So remember that name of a dum-dum. It's not easy to forget, to be honest, but it's a nice name, mashallah. Now, to wrap things up, because I've given you the theory, I've given you the reasons why we should all want to apply the Universal Sunnah. I've given you examples, and I'm hoping out of all them examples, you can take one thing away, at least one thing, and apply. Okay, now the question is how? Because it wouldn't be fair to me to give you all the reasons and the theory and all these things. No, how do we go about doing this? The easiest way for me personally, as I'm sure the people here can testify, is the easiest way to adopt the prophetic character is doing the course of self-purification. The easiest way for me, and I'm speaking from experience. The course of self-purification, ultimately what it does is it aligns your character to the prophetic character. Because that's what we should be aiming for. Our character should be aligned to the prophetic character. And it doesn't mean we change necessarily who we are. I can still be Suffian and still have a prophetic character. You can still be yourselves, but you can only improve your character. That's what it's all about. So the course of self-purification, and perhaps you haven't come across it before, certainly look into it. I know the brothers here are more qualified than me. They can give you advice on this. That's the easiest way of applying everything I've just said in the past 45 minutes and more. So alhamdulillah, anything positive I've said today, then all praise is due to Allah Ta'ala. Only the mistakes have been mine. Subhanallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
ইনশাআল্লাহ এখন কিছু সময় আমরা জিকির করব। জিকিরের আগে সবাই চিন্তা করার কাজে আল্লাহ সুবহানাহু ওয়া তাআলা আমরা দেখতেছেন, আল্লাহ আমরা সাথে আছেন এবং আমরা জিকির শুনতেছেন। ও খেয়ালও রাখি সাথে সাথে জিকির করবা। আর জিকিরের দরমিয়ান যদি কোনো চাহিদা থাকে, দোয়া থাকে, দোয়া করেন যেন দিল দিয়ে আল্লাহর টান। সবচেয়ে উত্তম সময় হইল কি জিকির মজলিসের মাঝে আল্লাহর টান চাও। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل هول من الأهوال مقتحمين مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل هول من الأحوال مقتحمين صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم 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 فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا 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 الله 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 حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله نور محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله نور محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله أول وآخر الله ظاهر باطن الله أول وآخر الله ظاهر باطن الله حافظ ناصر الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. جزاك الله أستاذ سفيان.
اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Ya Allah, please accept our prayers, please accept our gathering here to the Majlis. Please give us the strength to give preference to the Sunnah above all of the ways. Let us walk away from here and apply another prophetic Sunnah, another characteristic of your beloved Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Please have mercy on us, forgive us for all of our major and minor sins, all of our inner and outer sins, all of the sins of our past, present and future. Do not punish us in this life or the akhirah. Give us sakeenah on the Yawm al-Qiyamah. Let us be under your shade in a peaceful state and receive our books in our right hands. Let us cross this sirat with ease and speed. Ya Allah, please, whoever we come across in the dunya, let us only benefit them and guide them to the deen. Let us guide our family and friends, and may we ourselves never go astray. Give us the strength to give preference to your command above all of the commands. Please protect us and protect our teacher who's abroad. Please protect all of your friends, whatever they may be. Give us the strength, the himmah, the guidance, the hikmah to follow them and to become close to you. Let us day by day draw closer to you and to our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Please help our brothers and sisters around the world who are misguided, who are lost, the weak, the poor, the oppressed. Give strength to them, give victory to them over the kuffar, the munafiq and the oppressors, and even guide our enemies. Guide the great people of this great nation that we are in. Let us all accept Islam and become close to you day by day. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi.